Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Roya Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. Superheroes are interesting creations, no doubt about it, but when you've been around as long as someone like Superman from 1938 or Batman from 1939, sometimes the character needs a bit of a revamp to keep it fresh. Thus, alternate versions of many heroes were created and placed in multiple universes so the writers can keep it new and the readers can have even more fun. So let's take an overview of some of the top 10 coolest versions of our favorite superheroes. Fair warning, some of them can get a little crazy. That just makes it more fun though. In the number 10 spot, we have Leatherwing. In the 1994 Elseworlds comic, a version of Batman depicted as a pirate named Captain Leatherwing is featured. He is hired by King James II to lay siege to rivaling ships that invaded England's waters, and the reason he did so in costume was to preserve the honor of his family name. He also happens to be British in this version, and Alfred is actually Italian. And finally, though his parents are still murdered, they are killed at sword point instead of gun, but apparently Leatherwing has no problem wielding a sword to get his gold. Coming in at number 9 is Lord Iron. Many Marvel characters got a new life in the 1602 storylines that came out in 2003. Iron Man himself got quite the makeover in the sequel, 1602 New World, and he ended up as a genius inventor who created a suit of armor that is powered by lightning bolts, with the sole purpose of defeating this version's Hulk after suffering weeks of torture at David Banner's giant hands. He also happens to be from Spain in this version, so now I'm stuck with the image of a Spanish Robert Downey Jr., and I hope you are too. Next up at number 8 we have BIZARRA. BIZARRA was created in 1984 as the polar opposite of Wonder Woman, personality-wise and ability-wise. BIZARRA holds the belief that women are inferior to men, which is the opposite of Wonder Woman's advocacy for female empowerment. She is also simple-minded, frail, and sluggish. So while BIZARRA may be willing to make that sandwich, you can bet it's probably not going to be very good, and it's probably going to take a long time to make. In the number 7 spot, we have Dead Earth Robin. Legends of the Dead Earth came out in 1996 and featured a version of Robin that was very much unlike any other. Namely, he was actually a she by the name Tris Plover. In this series, Earth has been abandoned and citizens set out in ships to find a new planet to inhabit. Gotham's ship is knocked off course, of course, so Tris ends up aiding Batman in a quest to find the ship's computer and set it back on course. And did I mention she was a farmer before all this? Coming in at number 6 is THROG, the Frog of Thunder. Originally a college football star, Simon Walterson is transformed into a frog when he is unable to pay a mystic he visited to find out what happened to his missing wife. Soon he is given the nickname Puddlegup, and he attains the famed Frogulmere hammer, and with it the powers of the Thunder God. In case you've ever looked into your backyard pond and wondered if a god was living there under the guise of a common amphibian. Next up at number 5 we have Zombie Wolverine. With how obsessed the comic book world has always been with the undead, it's no surprise that Wolverine was the recipient of the zombie treatment back in Marvel Zombies 2005. Apparently his healing factor doesn't stop the spread of zombification. He retains his normal intelligence, but he is driven by the hunger for living flesh. This is one zombie I would not want to pit against Daryl Dixon, because we might actually lose him this time. Up next at number 4 is The End Gambit. In X-Men The End, which was published starting in 2004, Gambit and Rogue finally were able to settle down and have kids. However, they managed to do that without any terrible consequences. Must have taken a lot of practice, so good for them. Gambit was also revealed to be a clone of Mr. Sinister here, made with the DNA from Vulcan and Cyclops. In the number 3 spot we have Prince Charming Cyclops. X-Men Fairy Tales was a mini-series back in 2006 that told stories of X-Men origins, but through folklore and fairy tales. In the 4th tale, which is based on Sleeping Beauty, Cyclops plays the role of Prince Charming, and his kiss awakens Princess Jean Grey from a deep slumber. But then he must face off against a villainous Wolverine who intends to keep Jean Grey for himself. Coming in at number 2 is Red Sun Superman. This version of Superman, which got its own 2003 miniseries, crash-landed in the Ukraine, looked around and said, "I don't think we're in Kansas anymore," and decided to become part of the Soviet Union. Now, just because he was a communist doesn't mean he suddenly became a bad guy. He still wanted to protect his people and do what was best for them, even if what was best for them was stripping them of individual privileges and dishing out forced lobotomies. And finally, in the number 1 spot is Peter Porker. Seems like Homer Simpson was onto something with the infamous Spider Pig song.
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does.
Because everyone loves Spidey and everyone loves bacon, Marvel combined the two to create Spider-Ham of 1983. He was a spider bitten by a radioactive pig, not a pig bitten by a spider, or a human bitten by a pig, or a pig bitten by a human biting spider. He also frequently had encounters with characters such as Captain Americat and the King Pig, other animal depictions of familiar faces. While he may be one of the strangest alternate versions of any superhero, he is definitely well received. I do love love when comics have a sense of humor. So those were the top 10 alternate versions of superheroes. If you want to know more about a particular hero's alternates, be sure to check out some of our other videos. We got Superman, we got Spider-Man, we got a lot of new ones coming on the way. My name is Roy Destroya, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.